So this portion of the night is focused primarily on header loss and some of the things we can do to mitigate that. So what we first want to start with is does anybody know how many kernels in a square foot on the ground it takes to make a bushel? So what we've seen, what most university studies use is about 2 kernels per square foot. So that varies a little bit depending on kernel size, moisture, different things like that. But if you look at the ground, if you're checking loss out the back of the combine or out the head, and you see 2 kernels per square foot, that's going to be equal about a bushel. So you can have more or less than that, but that's generally the rule of thumb. So if we know that 2 kernels in a square foot makes a bushel, the question is how many of those kernels can we save with Yield Saver? So what we did this fall was we went and chased a bunch of combines. We took a bunch of measurements of what the loss with the OEM chain versus the loss with Yield Saver was, and this is a good example of what we found. This is actually out of our head at home. It's a case 4408. On the Yield Saver side, we saw about 21 kernels. On the OEM side, we saw about 106 kernels. So that's a 50 square foot area. What that figures to is about 81% savings. So that corn was at 19% moisture. We know as we get drier, that's going to increase. And as that corn gets a little bit wetter, that number could decrease a little bit or stay the same. But the relativity between those two is going to be the same. So we wanted to talk a little bit about ROI just from the standpoint, we know we can save the kernels, but in the end, what you guys care about is dollars. So what we really had to look at is how many kernels do we have to save, or how many bushels do we have to save in order for Yield Saver to pay for itself. So in this example, we've got a 608C, it's a John Deere head, 8 rows, farmer farming about 1,200 acres of corn. That's going to be about 150 acres a row on Yield Saver. So that's typically what we say for the lifespan. So what we figure is 2 bushel loss. So what we've checked in the last few years is we've seen anywhere from a 2 to 5 bushel loss out of the head on combines. So if we figure 80% savings at a 2 bushel loss, that gives us 1.6 bushels that we're saving. So at a $3.90 corn price, I checked the price this morning, it was $3.89 at home. We figure $3.90 corn price, that gives us about $6.24 an acre savings. So what we're clearing, our net profit per year is about $2,700. So that's an 8 row corn head, $600 a row. What we figure for year 2 is we're replacing those brushes, we're keeping the chains on. So we're at about a $5,200, $5,300 savings for year 2. So you figure in year 1 you spend $600 a row. Year 2 you're replacing the brushes. Year 3 you're replacing the brushes. In a 3-year time span, your net profit is $13,264. So we've got these ROI calculators online. I encourage you guys to go out, check them out, punch in your own numbers. If you got a 12 row head, you're farming 1,500 acres of corn, see what it's going to take for those Yield Savers to pay themselves back. With that, we'll have Phil fire up the combine and we'll run a little demonstration for you. Hear me, but the left side of the head over here would be your OEM chain. The right side over here is Yield Saver. So after we get done emptying these tubes out, we'll raise the head, sweep up the tarp, and we'll do a comparison. Should be good enough. So you can see here the difference. In Kurt's left hand would be the yield saver, and then his right hand would be the OEM chain. So that's just a demonstration we like to do. Kind of show. We obviously realize this is kind of an extreme situation, but it shows the benefit of yield saver, and does a really nice job of demonstrating how these actually works.